Chapter 8, Episode 11. Zara and Suzanna left for the Central Park Zoo. Sarah was pleased that Suzanna didn't choose shopping. Shopping on a Saturday was not easy for her, or for that matter, any Anthropophagus. For older Anthropophagi, it wasn't too bad. Many of them could go many days without fresh meat. Some could get by with very little meat. A teenager that was still growing, as Sarah was, could go without fresh meat from 3 to 5 days before she started getting irrational. Anthropophagi in captivity, such as prison or mental hospital, often died. Being among the elite made their chances much better. The elite seldom ended up in prison or mental facilities. From a non-Anthropophagus point of view, of course, they were criminally insane. However, in defense of Anthropophagi, it was important to remember that they were very much like wild animals. They preyed on the weak and the outcast and the criminals, not so much the weak, bad meat. Suzanna insisted on paying the admission for the zoo. Her parents weren't nearly as rich as Sarah's parents, but rich enough to send her to an expensive private school. Though Suzanna didn't think so, she was just as beautiful as Sarah. She was shorter by half a head, and everything about her was a bit smaller aside from her green eyes that framed by her gentle fair face with a trace of freckles and hair that looked blonde and red at the same time. She was as likely to gain attention as Sarah. The two of them together, apparently oblivious to the stares, looked like two model movie stars taking a break between shoots. Not an uncommon event. There were so many movie stars living and or working in the area, and other kinds of stars. Movies and shows were made in New York all the time. It's a bit sad, really. Sarah looked at Suzanna. I was feeling just that. It's like a little museum. See wild animals from around the world in one convenient place. The last remaining of the species here in our zoo. Until they are all sequenced, then every zoo could have one. Or until there is a virtual reality network that takes you anywhere in the world to see the animals in their natural habitat. Not only could you forget the zoos, it would force countries and companies to protect natural habitats, if the virtual experience is to be in real time. You could fit many cameras everywhere. They could be used to monitor illegal tree cutting. The criminals would be seen live in the game. Users could be virtual groundskeepers. Fires would be spotted faster. I don't know, the wandering of the animals. What they eat when. Viewers from around the world can see the same thing at the same time. Things they never knew existed. I like that idea. I wonder if anybody is working on it. I don't think virtual reality is that far yet. I think you might be wrong any minute, Suzanna. If someone isn't working on it, I'll get my dad to jumpstart a few who will. Suzanna laughed. I'm serious. My dad loves crazy ideas. You mean good ideas? Good ideas are crazy. I know. Darwin and Newton, Copernicus. I think it would help if the animals didn't look so bored and depressed. Let's see some reptiles then. Are they happy? They don't do emotions. Sarah wasn't certain what Suzanna meant, but figured it was something she would explain. Suzanna explained about reptiles and how their brain worked. Sarah stared at an iguana. The iguana saw her. She could tell. But giving a fuck, one way or the other, didn't seem to be on its sensory menu. Sarah found herself smiling at a big lizard from South America. Suzanna had said its name that was Latin and something about a dragon. Appropriate since the thing looked quite a bit like a dragon. Are there real dragons? Not like in the legends. I think chasing a dragon means something very different than hunting a big living beast. Never thought of that. You aren't paying attention in literature then, young lady. Really? Yes, but never mind that there are no real old fable dragons. There is the Komodo dragon. It's really real. It's a big lizard. Komodo is not likely to enter my bucket list. Never heard of the place. There was no Komodo dragons in the zoo. Komodo dragons were a little too wild to be locked up in the middle of a few million people. The lizards and reptiles and snakes were very relaxed or docile in that blank way that their nature dictated. These cold-blooded creatures have a very different view of the world. Their brains are, oddly enough, reptilian. Well, I guess that makes it clear. We have that as our first layer. Our distant ancestors were very similar to these creatures. We added 2 more layers. Mammals went mostly with bigger brains. Humans went for the biggest. For some reason we evolved weaker bodies to focus feeding the energy needs of the brain, which turns out to have had extreme consequences for all involved. Sarah thought for a second what consequences and then laughed. As soon as she laughed, she realized it wasn't so funny. There had been some great rewards for many humans at the cost of other humans and so many animals. Most of the planet's wild. The air was filling up with CO2. Still, some people pretended it didn't matter so much, but it was simply physics. Sarah had paid attention on that day. Some gases didn't react to the infrared radiation coming back to and from the Earth, and some gases did. The gases changing the balance of heat retention were at this point in Earth's history, for the first time in the Earth's history, at an alarming, unprecedented high and getting higher. The big brains were close to the point of being able to do anything, build space city galactic starships, but they were stuck mucking about with burning all the oil and coal on the planet as fast as possible and dumping the toxic waste into the air, water and soil, with no apparent clue that if everything is dead, they are also dead. No matter how rich they got from their criminally insane business of plunder. The world would be a better place without us. No question about that. There is one thing. Where is there one thing? Suzanna laughed and took Susanna's hand as they walked to the next bunch of animals in the zoo. It's a silly idea I got while reading a science fiction novel. Oh, what idea? That we are the guardians. Be the guardians of life. Think about it. Sarah didn't get much going. She was thinking about Suzanna leading a wild creature through the zoo. Okay, let's have your idea first. A dexterous big-brained creature evolves somehow against all the odds, narrowly escaping extinction so many times throughout the millions of years, and has embarked on technology, which means the use of tools and medicine. They leave their own planet, humans, technology, plants, insects, animals. Everything is taking on a journey to another planet. There is an opportunity not only for the humans, but for the rest of life too. Humans can't fuck it up. Too much is at stake. The galactic population of cyborgs, or whatever they are, aren't going to be too happy if they don't get to exist and party for 1,000,000 years. I love your brain. Thanks, Sarah. It is true. It really is that big a thing. I know it is when you say it.